Today, I'm building 4 modular ruins designed to work across Mordheim, Rangers of Shadow Deep, and D&D. In order to maximize your chances of building this, I'm going to give away all of the 3D printed parts and build plans for free. Hey folks, I'm Leif, and welcome back to Devs and Dice. If you're new here, this is a channel about painting miniatures and crafting awesome terrain. I've been away for a few months, but I wanted to get back into it with a simple project that was practical and genuinely useful across different games. These modular ruins are very much in that spirit. Easy to build, easy to reuse, and designed to work for Mordheim and of course, D&D. If you enjoy this kind of content, then subscribing helps the channel out immensely. I start by printing out the 4 plans for the simple ruins on normal printer paper. These plans are part of a free giveaway for this video, and they form the backbone of the entire build. Rather than measuring everything directly onto foam, I prefer working from a physical template. It's faster, more consistent, and it removes a lot of decision making later on. I cut out the rough shapes using a steel ruler and an X-Acto knife. At this stage, precision isn't critical. I'm just separating the major shapes and getting ready to transfer them onto foamcore. I use a simple kid's glue stick to glue the paper plans onto 5mm foamcore. This foamcore will become the core of all of the walls in the ruins. Using a glue stick keeps the paper flat without soaking it, and it's strong enough for cutting without being permanent. With the plans glued down, I cut out the shapes again, first roughly, and then more precisely using the steel ruler and knife. For the more organic shapes and broken edges, I freehand the cuts. Those uneven lines will help sell the idea of damage later on without needing extra texture work. At the corner of each ruined building, I cut a hinge into the foam core and reinforce it with masking tape. This allows me to fold the walls into a clean 90-degree angle while still keeping everything aligned. It's a simple trick, but it makes positioning and gluing the ruins much easier. The ruin is then hot glued onto a 2mm thick L-shaped base made from a laser-cut plywood. There's no internal floor here. The center is left completely open. That's a deliberate choice, since one of my main goals is to make sure these ruins can sit naturally on almost any surface, whether that be a dense Mordheim board or a forest table for D&D. Before moving on, there's a quick detour into Blender. I modeled a few simple structural elements here, some pillars, some arches, and some sills, designed specifically to work with foam builds like this. Nothing overly detailed, just clean shapes that are easy to print and easy to integrate. Back at the table, I start by hot gluing in the resin 3D printed pillars. These are placed on the outward facing corners of the ruins, where they read clearly as load-bearing elements. Using printed pillars lets me replace bulky wall sections with something a little bit more sturdy and readable at the table. I'm also sharing these for free, just in case you want to use them, by the way. Next, I hot glue in the resin 3D printed opening arches. The arches give clean, consistent openings that would be very time consuming to carve by hand, and they immediately define how models can move through the ruin. I then glue in the 3D printed sills to mark where each floor above ground level starts. These I think do a lot of work visually. They clearly separate floors, help with the vertical readability during play, and later on they'll create natural breaks for, well, painting and weathering. Once all of the resin parts are in place, I start cladding the ruins with some XPS foam bricks. I use 5x5 and 5x10mm bricks
gluing them onto both the inside and the outside of the walls. I also make sure to cover the exposed edges of the foam core wherever possible. This helps sell the illusion that the entire structure is built from individual stone blocks rather than layered materials. In the plans, there are small 5x5mm holes cut into the walls. These are for the floor beams. I cut the beams to length, breaking off the ends on the inside of the building to suggest structural damage and collapse. Before gluing anything permanently, I dry fit the beams into the walls. 2 beams meet cleanly at the corners where 2 walls join, forming a simple cross structure. Once I'm happy with the fit, I texture the timber using a steel brush to give it some more wood grain. Everything is then secured using superglue, which grabs quite quickly and keeps the structure rigid. With the beams in place, I add floor planking using good old coffee stir sticks. These are glued on with white glue, and I use an old brush with water to help the glue soak into the wood. That makes the planks feel more like a part of a structure rather than something sitting on top. Slight unevenness here is a benefit. It makes the ruin feel older and more damaged. One final construction decision is to saw away any exposed parts of a plywood base. For example, at ground level, where the opening of the arches, I remove the base entirely. The structure is sturdy enough without it, and it keeps the ruins visually neutral so they can fit both urban and natural environments. Once construction is finished, it's time to paint. I start by priming the ruins using an airbrush and Vallejo black primer. After priming, I apply a zenithal spray using some high-flow acrylic white paint from Golden Acrylics. This creates a simple black and white light and shadow map that guides the rest of the painting. Then I cover everything with some transparent burnt umber ink, which gives everything a natural dirt tone base. The first brush step is stippling in some dark gray craft paint here and there. I'm careful not to cover everything, as the burnt umber underneath is doing a lot of work already. After that, I dry brush a light gray over the entire structure, wood details including, keeping in mind where light would realistically hit the different surfaces. Next, I use some light wall filler or spackle. I dilute this with water and brush it into all the cracks in the bricks and 3D printed elements. Most of it gets wiped away, leaving it only in the recesses. This unifies the texture and gives everything a slightly dusty, powdery finish once it dries. With the main painting done, I glue on a few posters. These are dipped in water to soften the paper and then attached with white glue and plenty of water, letting them naturally wrinkle and tear up. For those symbols and graffiti, I this time around decided to use some white acrylic pens. A larger pen is used for the basic shape, and then I come back in with a smaller pen and paint up the edges and rough them up, adding a little bit of dripping paint here and there to make it look like somebody actually used a paintbrush. I add a few tufts here and there, mainly in places where I think vegetation could realistically take hold. Some of these tufts are cut in half to help them fit into tighter spaces, and the tufts I'm using are all from my good friends over at the Army Painter. To tie everything together, I spray the ruins with some Army Painter Strong Tone and Military Tone. This is where a lot of the magic happens. It pulls all of the colors together and really sells the age of the structure. Finally, I add some not so subtle blood effects using True Blood from Army Painter and some Flow Aid. I flick it from a brush using the air from the airbrush. It's applied here and there where violent events might have taken place. And at that point, let's have a look at the final result. I'm genuinely really happy with how these ruins turned out. They're simple, but they do exactly what I wanted them to do. They're modular, readable at the table, and easy to reuse across different games. That's always been the goal with this kind of terrain. The last few months have been busy for me, and life has thrown a few unexpected curveballs my way. Nothing dramatic, just one of those periods where time and energy gets pulled in a lot of different directions. Even so, it felt important to finish this project and bring it across the finish line. I've also seen the posts and comments over on the Mordheim Facebook group and on Reddit, and I have to say I really appreciate the friendly messages and the concern. It honestly means the world to me. Things have just been busy, but hopefully they're moving in a better direction now. Feels good to be back at the table, building again, and sharing this with you. I want to thank all of my patrons for their support. A special shout out goes to my champion and legend level patrons. Agresomnia, Andreas Winberg, Fredrik Kersgaard Lund, Gunnar Byström, Henrik Mannerstråle, Hunters Cave, Madners, Magnus Solberg, Tamas Tullgöis, Teddy, Anton Hand, Arjen Angenent, Gun Panda, Jose Vera, RD, and the Elder Kind. Thank you so much, good people. And I will see you in the next video.